Hey everyone, great to see you here, and check this out. Today, I'm going to give you my first impressions on the Deity, the brand new Deity PR-4, which is a 6-track 32-bit float recorder. It's got a 64 gigabyte internal SSD. It also allows you to do SD cards, time code. This has got a crazy feature set for the price point, right at $449 US. So we're going to go through it. We're going to listen to it, and I'll give you my first impressions, talk a little bit about my perspective as a production sound mixer, who I think this is for, and where I think this kind of fits in workflows, whether you're a videographer, a one-man band shooter, or maybe you're just starting out as a production mixer, or you're a seasoned veteran like myself and you're looking for a problem solver type solution. So let's go ahead and get right to it here just in a moment. The key to a great sounding lav is 10% placement and 90% process.
Typically, I'll do a script breakdown on my iPad. Ingenuity and flexibility really are the keys here, because we have the same goal, capturing the performance.
It is this process here that inspired us to create Wire Like the Pros, a masterclass for students and professionals who have the desire to excel and go beyond just the wiring technique and tools.
Let's talk about working with the actors.
So I invite you to come over now and enroll into Wire Like the Pros at mwsound.net. All right, first and foremost, the Deity PR-4, when I first saw it come out, I'm just like, man, it amazes me, this company. It seems just like yesterday that I was walking down NAB 10 years ago, and when they announced their V-Mic, and I'm like, who is this company? And later, here we are 10 years later, full time code systems. We have full-blown recorders, UHF wireless, time code slates, the list goes on. And it's been very interesting to follow this company, and also thank you, Deity, for sending me this for review. And I'm going to kind of give you my guys' thoughts on it. I own probably some of the most expensive production recorders money can buy. I work as a production sound mixer professionally, and so this is a great opportunity for you to hear a subjective view from a production sound mixer and kind of look at a piece like this and see kind of like, where does this fit? Like, where does this fit in the video market? Where does this fit for someone maybe who's just starting out as a production mixer, or the list goes on, or as a problem solver? So that's what we're going to do today. First things first, let's go ahead and just kind of get into kind of the device itself. So this is a 6-channel recorder here. I'm going to go ahead and just power it off on the top here so I can disconnect some of these cables that we're going to be using to listen to the device. And you'll notice right out of the gate, and let me just kind of zoom out here a little bit, how just tiny this recorder is. Here's an SM58 microphone next to it. And also inside of the recorder is the Sony NP type battery that actually comes with the recorder here. That's got 8.5 hours runtime, which is phenomenal. And inside of this unit, you have a 64 gigabyte SSD. And then here is a SD card that I've put into the unit as well. So you've got 2 recording sources, which really builds confidence for me in the unit. It's very, very lightweight. You've got the off-on switch here on the top. This here is just a something that came with the bag that I received. I'm not going to really go into the bag too much right now, but it allows you to actually basically screw into this 1/4-20 to secure it in the bag. And also you can do it here on the top as well. And I believe these are designed for like an airy type mount. But anyway, you can mount these, and there are different types of accessories you can get for mounting, like a metal cheese plate of sorts and so forth that you can check out. So here we have, I'll go ahead and power on the unit first, and we'll go over some of the different exterior hardware on it. We already talked about the mouse. Here's the off and on. This is cool. And let me actually zoom in. Sorry, guys, so you can see kind of what's happening here. This little thing you just kind of press down, so it keeps you from accidentally turning it off and on, which is nice. And then you've got two XLR inputs, 1 and 2, that also have 1/4 inch inputs. So if you happen to be going 1/4 inch into this, you have the ability to do that as well with these connectors being too tight. We also have a 4-pin Hiroshi power from 12 to 18 volts, which is very nice. And don't forget, you also have an unbalanced 3 and 4. So you've got 4 total inputs on it. We switch over to the other side. And this is interesting. We're going to play around with this today. So you have this OP1 and 2. What these are is they're line level balanced outputs. So you can send 2 balanced outputs simultaneously on this device. And you can also assign them to be stereo unbalanced. So if you're sending into, say, like a DSLR or mirrorless camera, you basically go into the settings, and we'll do that today, and I'll show you guys how to do it, because that's probably going to be one of the things that's really important to those maybe who are just starting out using a professional recorder like this. Like, how do I configure it with my camera? That you can set an unbalanced stereo as well. And the only other device I have that can do that is the Sonosax M2D2. And it's a really, really clever feature, and it's really nice to see that on this unit. Something here that on the top, let's go ahead and get into that, and let's see if we can get the camera to focus here. Sometimes I got to kind of talk the camera into doing the right thing. So it is a touch screen, but the touch screen only works on the main screen. And if I hit it like so, what it's going to do is it's actually going to scroll back and forth, and of course it's not working here, between 1, 2, and 3, and 4. So let me see if I can get this to work. No, well, it actually went to the menu here. Anyway, so you can actually select between 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And to simply go into the input, and I'm in expert mode because there's basic and expert, you can then simply select track 1 here. And as you can see, we've got different types of inputs. We've got mic, 48 volt phantom power, AES3, AES42, and notice that there is no inline level. Let's not forget that, because that's obviously very important. I'm going to leave it on mic for right now. And then you've also got a fader level, your gain, high pass filter, all the way up to 150 hertz or off. I'm just going to leave it there on 75. And then you've got panning, where you can go left, center, or right. So we'll just go ahead and leave it on left for right now. You can invert the phase off or on, which can help with like 2 mic sources simultaneously. And you can also input a input delay in this. I don't know how far it goes, but you can do that as well. Also, you have an EQ on each channel here, and you got the low, mid, and high. This is a parametric EQ here on the mid. As you can see, you can adjust the Q, which is really, really nice. And I would assume that this EQ, I'd need to look at the manual. Like, this is just my first impression, so I'm still figuring it out like you guys. Would probably be selectable pre or post fade. Typically, EQs on production recorders would be on the bus mix only. You'd want to leave the ISOs alone. So we can go to any of those inputs here by clicking on it. As we can see here, we can go to the second input. And this is kind of the main menu button. So as I hit this back, I go to the menu, and then I've got input, and I can see all of my tracks and go in and change those same settings that we just worked with. We also have your tracks 3 and 4 here, which we can choose between line, mic 5 volts, so you can actually do a lavalier directly into this, and AES42. Obviously, you're not going to have phantom power on the 3 and 4, because this device on your 3 and 4 input is your unbalanced stereo right here, but you do have phantom power ability right there. Okay, so let's go back into the main menu here as I'm juggling a million screens. And we also have a built-in auto mixer and a routing menu that allows me to choose where each of the what's being assigned to the mix bus, left and right. Right now we have all 4 channels being assigned to left and right. And you can also choose whether that's pre or post fade record on those ISOs. Typically we do pre-fade for ISOs. And then you can also choose an EQ on the master bus. And that's interesting that there's an EQ on the master bus as well as on the input, which tells me that if you put an EQ on the input, it's going to be, that EQ is going to be applied to the ISO, unless there's a menu to disengage that. Typically we don't do that, but it's just nice to have in case you need it. All right, so we've got the EQ on the mix bus, and then we can come here. We already did the routing on that. And output. This is very important here. If you get anything out of this video, you might say, hey, I got this, but I tried plugging it into my DSLR camera or my mirrorless camera, and I can't find the right cable. This is really kind of something I'll try to go through efficiently. I'm not going to spend a ton of time because this is an overview, but selecting the output, notice that we can do, like I mentioned earlier, we can do a balanced output here, or we can do an unbalanced stereo output. And that output 1 is the OP1 right here, output 1. So if you're going into, say, a mirrorless camera, you would do an unbalanced stereo, but there's another step here, because if you go, notice here to the level, you're only going to go down to, say, -20. Maybe in a firmware update, they can update that, because mic level is more around -30 or -40. So what you're going to really end up doing in that situation is needing to use a cable with a pad, which I actually have one of those here. I can show you what it looks like from remote audio. So this is basically, this is a 3.5 millimeter TRS cable that has a 40 dB pad. So basically it takes a line level out and takes it to mic level. I'll put a link below. It's not sponsored or anything, but if you're like, hey, I'm using my DSLR and I want to get a good signal level, this is how you do that. So just a little helpful hint there for you. So let's just go ahead and for now take that level back up, because we're going to listen to this here with my SM58 here in just a little bit and keep going through the menus. Obviously you have a whole second output, and you can choose, it doesn't need to be just a mix. If you want to do the right mix, you're going to have to use the right side, because you can't choose left or right on output 2. It's fixed to right or unbalanced stereo, or any one of these outputs, which I'm assuming are going to be post-fade, since the output is typically going to be post-fade. I don't think there's a select pre-fade for those outputs, but just something to think about there. We have tone routing, which is going to be super helpful for setting levels, especially if you're connecting into a device like a camera. And that there, typically you do that like -20. So right now it's set to, 0. Maybe I just take that down to 20 just to kind of sit it there. And you also have headphone matrix, where you can actually do custom headphone routing, which is super nice. And let's see what else is worth talking about in this before we take a listen to it. To change the metadata, you can actually go into the folder here and notice that we've got the built-in SD. Our project name is Deity. And then we've got the SSD, and our project name is Deity. So you can actually come in here and you can create new projects and new folders. If I go to the next take here, as you can see here, I can choose, take markers. I can even make that W if I want to do wild or something like that, but let's go ahead and just get out of that for now. And, I find just, right out of the bat that this thing is pretty intuitive. Oh, to back out, I have to go menu. You got quick notes. They call them fast notes, which is nice. Waiting for input, good. We could just say, hey, that one's going to be good. We'll just select that. And then folder here is where we create a new project. So if you want to name your project obviously you're working on multiple projects. That's how you do that there, which can be very, very helpful. But for now, we'll just leave it at the Deity thing just to keep it simple. We've also got track names. We can go in here and name specific tracks however we like here. Like if you just want to name track 1, boom, for instance, we can just go down here in the keypad and let's go ahead and just get rid of track 1. And you also have the ability, I believe, to do this in the app, which we'll also take a look at here shortly, because this does work along with the Sidus app. It also has wireless timecode, and that will sync with the TC1 Locket boxes and Slate. So it's a very, very slick, cool device. So we'll go back over here, press OK, and now that track is now named Boom for track 1, which is good. Always a good thing when working with poly files. When you bring it into the editor, maybe you're the editor of the project working with this, or you're working with a team, that they can kind of see what the names of things. That's obviously a very helpful workflow in a professional type environment. Okay, so we've got time code, as we can see here. We can just choose auto because we're going to use time code on the app. Now look at this. We actually have L out. If you're really smart, you know it stands for longitudinal time code, sometimes mistakenly called linear time code, LTC. Which is just kind of it's more of a line level time code. And you can also come in here and change that to be A out or audio level, which is a mic level out. So if for some reason you need to send this into a camera that like as timecode aux that they'll convert later to timecode, you can do this feature with that, which is super, super slick. So it's nice to see that feature in there. Then we have frames per second. All the standard frame rates are available for professional workflows. As you can see, we've even got drop frames and so forth. That's super, super nice. And then group has to do with like working with the app and Bluetooth control. So we'll just go ahead and leave that where it is. Noise reduction. I didn't work too much with noise reduction yet, but I've seen some videos on it. I think Curtis Judd has a video where he demonstrated that if you're interested in listening to that. Right now I have the routing off, so we're not going to listen with any noise reduction currently. Record, let's take a look at that. Oh, cool. Check this out. This is unbelievable. We can go all the way up to 192 kilohertz. Those sample rates were unheard of 10 years ago. And we can go all the way up into 32-bit float as well. Which of course gives you the ability to recover distorted front-end audio in post. One note I will say about this recorder is I'm really grateful that they didn't do anything silly like remove the trims and say, oh, it's 32 bits, so you don't have to worry about it. That's the biggest load of shit ever. You obviously always have to worry about it. Because, sorry, I just think I'm coming in a little hot. Let me take that back. You always have to worry about it because in a workflow, when you're working with an editor and everything, nobody wants to have to do a bunch of work because you were lazy with your front-end audio. Don't do that. Don't be that guy. Okay, back to what we're doing. So if we go here, I'm just going to go ahead and take this back here for our demonstration of 48K. And then, as you can see, it's kind of, it paused for a second. It wanted to think about it. This is very early firmware, and I found it to be pretty dang good. Little things here and there, annoyances, but I just think that's just more early firmware type stuff. Nothing like groundbreaking so far. ARM set. This allows me to arm different tracks. Well, I'm just going to arm the tracks that we're working with and also the bus there. So that should be good. And then let's see here. And then, of course, then I can format the drives. Here is, it says 64 gigabytes in the manual. This says 58 gigabytes. You know how that goes. And even the SD says 29 gigabytes. That's a 32 gigabyte card. So let's get into some of the other functions here for a second. You can go to basic mode. I'm not going to get into basic mode right now because that's really not like the what we do here on the channel. Headphone knob control. I'm navigating with the headphone. You can change that to be different things if you want. We'll just leave it like that. It turns and clicks. So yeah, Bluetooth set to on enable. And speaking of, I think, believe it or not, I just like kind of rocketed through that. And let's do something cool now too. Let's go ahead and connect the iPhone. If I can figure that out here. Hold on one second. There it is. iPhone, show up now. Do what you're supposed to do. Oh, there's the iPhone here. Okay, it doesn't want to behave. Let's see here if we can get this to plug in and do what it's supposed to do. Anyway, while I'm trying to get the iPhone to work, oh, I know what it is. This is locked. So as a result, it won't do this. See that? You guys didn't see any of that because that's me in the background working with things. Okay, cool. So this is the app up on the screen, as you can see. And let's get this here. So this is the Sidus Audio app. Let me go back all the way to the main screen so you can kind of see what it looks like. So these are some of the different timecode devices that I own. Also the Deity IFB, and it works as one ecosystem. And one thing I really like about timecode on this unit, if as I press sync all, and you can't see my finger pressing, so you just have to trust me I'm pressing. I'm going to press this top thing where the timecode is running and the date, and I can physically press these devices. I can even set date and time on device. I think that means the date and time on the actual PR-4. And if I press sync all, then basically the time code is set. Now I know this is early firmware, but one thing I want to mention right out of the gate is that there should be time code running here, guys, and instead it gives us the runtime. Now if we go here into time code, you can see it. If you just press this button once, you can actually see the physical time code here. But just a little suggestion for Deity, if they happen to stumble on this video, let's get the time code running there. Doesn't really help us much to see the runtime, or just maybe the option. Maybe it does help to do that, but I'm just kind of used to seeing that on the main screen. So that's my little request. And you know, we've got our headphone volume here. That's nice, so you don't blow out your ears. Typically, I like to put my headphones down pretty good. Let me see if I can get this thing to switch. Remember when I was kind of clicking it in the beginning and I couldn't get the thing to switch over to the other inputs? Normally, and this is just probably me doing something wrong. Oh, look, it did it. See, now I'm on inputs 3 and 4. You see how I did that? So let's see if I can actually get it to go back the other way to the, maybe I just got to press on the actual inputs. You know, see if I can get this to work. Come on now. There we go. So basically, to switch back and forth between these two, you're supposed to be able to click it. But anyway, it's not going to behave for me. That's okay. I still have workarounds that I can do to get to this. Because one thing I wanted to show you that's really cool is when you're adjusting a level, if you actually hold down the encoder, you can actually change the trim level, and then if you just basically turn it here, then it's the fader level. So yeah, and if someone's here watching the stream right now and you know how to do this thing where it switches over from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, man, big bonus to you to actually helping me out make that happen. I'm probably just pressing in the wrong place or something like that, because I try to get this to switch. You know what it was? You gotta put some effort into it. See, watch this. See me being way too delicate. Watch. If I give it, well, look at me. I'm pressing my luck. Let's try that again. So anyway, yeah, I don't think I was pressing down far enough. Let's get it back to focus, and then there it is. Okay. So if I press down a little farther, then it just wants to go into the menu. Huh. Come on now. Well, oh no, it switched back. I didn't see it. So it's basically switching between 1, 2, and 3 and 4 is what I'm trying to show you guys, which I'm failing miserably at. So we're gonna take a listen to this. It's no fun if I can't show you this stuff, and I want you to be able to hear it. So here, we're going to plug in a couple things to make this work. First things first, here, let me just kind of zoom back out on this desk here for you. And then let's adjust some settings that you don't see. There we go. And so here on my desk, I've got a balanced cable. Okay, so this is basically tip, ring, sleeve. So tip is pin 2, ring is going to be pin 1, and sleeve pin 3. And basically that aligns to this. This is a balanced TRS to XLR male. So this would be a good cable to use if you were running into a camera that has an XLR input line level. It would not be a good cable to use if you were, say, running into a mirrorless camera. That way, then you would use the cable that I showed you earlier, which is the one with the pad. And then there's other kinds of cables too. Like look at this here. This is a Sennheiser cable that actually ties pins 2 and 3 together as a way to work with their specific system for a balanced output. So this will show up unbalanced and balanced. But it just, my OCD, it doesn't like that, so I'm just going to use a properly balanced cable. And you have this behemoth whirlwind cable, which is truly an unbalanced TRS to unbalanced XLR. So if you have comments about, hey, which cable do I use? I bet you if you're just starting out or if you're a solo video operator, that's probably something that's of the most confusion. And I'm not sure if Deity has cables for these. I bet you they do. If they don't have cables to send with pads built in for DSLRs already, they should have them. And hopefully that would be my next suggestion, is a group of cables that goes with this recorder for users. So now let's listen to this stuff. So here's what we're going to do. If you ever want to really test how good a mic preamp, and one great way to do it is use a dynamic microphone. And the reason why is because it takes a lot of gain to drive like an SM58 microphone. So typically a poor preamp is going to show a lot of noise and hiss if you try to drive it with a dynamic mic. So this is a great test. I've listened to this with phantom mics and different things, but I thought for this, let's just kind of start here. So we're just going to go ahead and plug it into the input here. And remember earlier, we make sure it's set to line level. So if I talk into this, you can't hear it yet. You're still listening to the studio Focusrite Red interface, but I'm about to patch you guys in. Next, we need to plug in this cable, which is a balanced, basically a balanced output. So remember, I'll show you guys, just for the heck of it real quick. Let's get rid of this iPhone because it's not helping us at all. So let's get rid of that. We're done with the iPhone. Okay. Get out of here, iPhone. Okay. Oh, it's locked and it doesn't like me. So let's unlock it. Get rid of the iPhone, and then we are in business again. And then, and I'll even be a good host and zoom in so everyone can see. I watched this really well-lit video on the PR-4 from a creator I'm not going to mention. And he had the lights were all perfect in the background. And it's like, oh, this is a typical YouTube video and my colored lights in the background. And dude, the screen was blown out the whole time. You couldn't see this, he overexposed the screen. He looked perfect and his background looked perfect, but the product he was trying to show was blown out. So I just had, I had to pick on him for that, because that's silly. Okay, so now let's look at a couple settings here. So here, remember, well, we're gonna have to get courageous and go back. Ah, look, it worked that time. And we want to make sure that we are on mic input, not mic phantom, because this is a dynamic microphone. The gain, I've already kind of set to 40. It will go higher than that, but we don't need to go higher than that. Now, the output, remember, is a balanced line level. So I'm going to come in here. I'm going to go to output, and let's do that. output, and routing, and OP1, output 1, not OP1. And notice that I've got left, right selected. That's wrong because that's a unbalanced stereo. I want to choose balance output line level. So I'm just going to choose left, and then I should have signal coming in here to you guys in just a second. Test, 1, 2, and guess what? Air gap. I'm like thinking, oh God, it's not working now. What do? We stay calm and plug in the cable. Okay, so now let's plug this in here. Test, 1, 2. And then see if we can get some signal coming in for our last air gap here. And I'm going to plug this in to this. This is what we're going to plug in right into OP1. This is kind of a, this actually belongs to a Sony UWP D wire. So it's a molded connector with like a kind of, you tighten it down, but you don't need to worry about that. Test, 1, 2. Okay, so you see this here. Now, here's what we're going to do. For our final fun is I'm going to let you hear this here. Now I'm dancing in the background with settings to make this work. So stand by. Okay. So now let me make sure I can hear it. Let's see. Test. Okay. Test 1, 2. Okay. Now you're listening to the PR-4. And it's right here on the desktop, plugged into the Focusrite red line, balanced input going line level. Now we can have some fun and go through some of the EQ, and you can actually listen to some of that. So let's go ahead and get right to that. All right, so we're going to zoom back on in. And I got just a few more minutes here, guys. I promised my wife I'm on a busy schedule today, but we're still going to get through everything. Thanks for hanging in there. We're going to make this happen. Okay, so we're going to come in here, press on channel 1, and watch what happens when I take the low cut off. Okay, low cut off, test. See how it has some kind of plosives show up, 75 hertz. I can even go higher if I need to 150 hertz. 75 seems kind of like the right move. I can adjust the phase. Watch, you'll hear a shift. So this is inverted. This is an inverted phase. Isn't that weird? Do you notice how like everything kind of changed? And this is off. So that's phase. And then EQ, let's go ahead and turn that on. And I'll show you some stuff. So I'm going to kind of bloat the sound here so in the low mids so you can kind of hear this work. Test 1, 2. Now, did you hear a little bit about that cracking sound? All that is just me adjusting the controls. It's not happening while, it's being, while it is EQs when I adjust the controls. It's a bug I found. So Deity, if you're watching, got a little bit of crackle in your EQ, so you might want to address that on the next firmware. Okay, so mids. Sometimes people will adjust. You'll see, this is kind of sometimes a common thing around, where people try to duck. See this, duck the mids. It kind of gives almost like a fidelity kind of thing. And this is parametric, so you can actually adjust the Q. Keep in mind that the higher the Q, the narrower the filter. The lower the Q, the wider the filter. So just a little EQ knowledge there for you. Let's go ahead and just put that back where it was. And the highs are cool. If you got a lav or something, maybe, I'm just trying to think like in the real world video, let's say you got something buried in clothing and you can't do anything about it and it's driving you up the wall, you might be able to come here around maybe 9 kilohertz and just kind of give a little bit of top end. Test. See how the highs kind of woke up a little bit there? It's not a terrible EQ by any means. It actually, I think it's kind of cool. I would just be weary, just be careful about going to town on EQ. And then there's also one thing I didn't see, and I know it has, is limiters. So you can engage limiters. Let's see here if I missed that. It's probably in another menu. I just wanted to mention that because I don't think I mentioned that. But it's probably in the main menu here. Let's go here into the Let's go into mix. Maybe it's in there. Routing, auto mix. No. Let's go into input. Well, we're already there on input. We already went through all that. Nope. There's not a lot of menus, which is nice. It's not like overwhelming to like find things. It's probably an output limiter. Let's see here. No. It's in there, guys. It's me not seeing it. So don't think it's not there, because I've seen it before and I know it exists. So, yeah. So my initial thoughts on this device is I think it's pretty dang cool. It's where do I think it lives? Where do I think it works? I think this thing right here, which you're listening to right now, is quite at home on top of a mirrorless camera. In fact, even a professional camera, anytime that I'm a big believer in perspectives. As a production mixer, if I can get a camera, especially like a nice mic on a camera, and it makes sense, that always has huge value for editorial. It pays dividends in the product. So, as long as we can get our DPs, who, obviously are very important people, on board with the idea of the project as a whole, and it makes sense for the creative, getting that mic on there can be very, very valuable. So this really allows us to do that. I can totally see myself planting this, putting this on cameras, and really going the next level. And the size just, it's funny. It looks massive here, but when I put the mic next to it, I mean, you could tell it's tiny. And I'll even kind of zoom out a little bit so we can see kind of like more size. So mounting is super cool. I'm trying to get my hands on the metal plate for this, because that's a really cool rigging thing. I love rigging. I'm a sound grip, if you guys know what that is. I can rig microphones everywhere in my life. You can never rig enough sources, and especially if you have nice microphones. And this kind of gives you the ability to bypass the, what is it? The bad preamps on the camera that you want to avoid at all costs. I mean, the cameras are good at being cameras, just like recorders aren't very good cameras, right? So this is where it is. So that's one market. It's the videographer. It's the one-man band. And I love that stuff. It's the YouTuber. It's the it's the wedding videographer. It's the the deal. It's the very low budget one-man band type stuff. Hey, I got a camera, 2 people, 3, whatever. Then I think in the sound person world, if you're just starting out, man, I wish this existed. When I first started, there was nothing like this, not even close. This technology is unbelievable, in my opinion, the bang for the buck. Where was this stuff when I was young is what I want to say. So there's that. And $449, oh my God, I just ordered a friggin' a DPA 4097 for a job. I mean, it costs twice as much as this recorder, and it's just a Electret microphone in a cool looking form factor, so, not to be a complainer, but man, what a value. And then as far as like me, I'm spoiled. I'm a brat. I've got a Scorpio. I've got an A33s. I got mixed pre's falling out of the closet. For me, it's a problem solver. I don't have any recorders like this that I can put and plant and not worry about. I would not hesitate to hang this off the side of a vehicle going 60 miles an hour down the road. I wouldn't hesitate to put it in any situation where I was worried about it, because to me, it's worth it. If you can get good sound and 32-bit float. So as you can tell, I have some excitement about this. Now, what is it not? Right? I mean, let's just get real for a second. Is this the mixer you're going to use and you're going to mix 4 actors real time, for an, I don't know, for a high stakes, movie, indie movie. I don't know. Probably not. It's not because it's not great. It's just you don't have faders and you don't have things that you need for that kind of thing. Sure, you got auto mixes, stuff like that, but that's not what this does. But that doesn't take away from this. So anyway, let me switch over to the other microphone here because hold on one second, so you can kind of maybe hear the difference. Okay, and let's see here. And let's see. Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm looking at this and I totally failed because you in that point were listening to the Redline 16, I think. So let me try to unmute. Do you guys hear that now? All right, if everyone hears that now, that's the PR-4. I can't believe it. In my routing matrix, I had the primary mic going, and I just wanted to mention that just in case you notice it. It's like, hey, I didn't hear any difference. Wow, it was really good. So this is the SM58. I'm not going to get into a bunch of crazy stuff on that, but I just kind of wanted you guys to hear the difference real quick. Sorry about that routing thing, by the way, because I did want you to hear this. So now this is the PR-4, but still, we still had a good time. We still got to listen to the unit, so I'll call it a success. And I'm going to give a second for comments and so forth. So now what I'll do is I'll just kind of keep this microphone going so you guys can hear the PR-4 for comments, just because you didn't get a chance to experience it as much as I would have liked you to experience it. So let's go ahead and zoom in so you can kind of see the interface. So if you have any questions, comments, cables, batteries, 8.5 battery life, and which is really, really good. I mean, this thing's been running for at least a few hours as I was just kind of playing around with it. All right, so we got a couple comments here and then we'll wrap this thing up. Recording classical music here. Let's go ahead and bring that into the stream if I can. Okay. Why is everything giving me a hard time today? Interesting. Let's see here. I'm just going to read the comments. For some reason, the comments aren't coming onto the screen. Thanks for testing out the unit, Michael, from Recording Classical Music. Yeah, thanks so much. Thank you for the where is this? You know what it is? It's over here. Look. I'm trying to physically bring over the comment, which is hiding in the corner. Sorry guys, let's see if we can get this to cooperate. There it is. Look. See? Okay. Quality problems of live streaming, guys. Thanks for recording music. No problem. Thank you so much for being here. I'm glad you got something out of it. How videos says, I think it's perfect. When you go into a conference, you could just drop it at the front of the house and then go around and do your B-roll shots. Totally. No wireless to worry about, right? You just get it in there and you go, and I think that's just one of many situations. And I can also say that sonically, this thing's killer. It sounds really good to my ears. I tested some CSM1s and as the condenser mic I plugged into it, and the headphone. I really like the headphone preamp too. The headphone preamp drives the headphones really well, and yeah, pretty excited. So that's all I got, guys, about first impressions. Hope you got something out of this. Thanks for watching. Be sure and subscribe if you haven't subscribed, so you can get notified about more videos like this. As I move forward on this, I might do some more, content on this particular recorder. Put your comments below if you have ideas on that or something you'd like to see me test or just questions. And also, pay attention to the output cables, guys. And hopefully, Deity usually watches these things. So, I think all the stuff that the suggestions that we had on cables and different things they can do, and that little EQ bug. This is all very minor, normal firmware stuff, and I think it should make a difference. And oh, we got one more comment. We got time. Let's do it, guys. Sign director says, "Did Deity sort out the timecode display problem that I heard much about on the forums?" We did cover the. Let me kind of zoom in again here so everyone can see. The time code, if you hit the headphone, there it is, right? So we're jammed, we're good. But the suggestion I had was, hey, let's get the time code running here, or at least have an option to click on it so we can see the time code, because you want to have that confidence. So runtime's cool. That's what that is. So if I drop the unit into record, then we get the runtime. And oh, guys, I forgot the most important thing: the cool light. That's not orange, by the way. It's red. It's just the way my camera is interpreting the color science on this. But it turns red. So watch. If I cut, then it turns off. I mean, to me, that's the most. I mean, that I'm sold, because I'll leave you with this. Early on in my audio career, I learned cool lights is what makes things work well in audio. So anyway, Galaxy Film says it does have faders. They're just internal. It would make a difference on set. Yeah, I totally agreed. Yeah, and you're right. And I'm glad you said that, Galaxy Films, because there is faders right here. So saying there's not faders is not fair, because look, I'm moving the faders, as you can see, and by pressing the screen here, I can switch back and forth from 1 and 2 and make adjustments, which is pretty cool. So, maybe I need to open myself up a little bit on the fader action, because I'm no stranger to working with these encoders, man. I did a dinner scene one time with 12 actors on a Scorpio and used all the encoders, and it actually worked really, really well, and it was kind of fun and exciting and stressful all at the same time. But you work with what you got, right? You got to make it work. And but anyway, guys, always a good time hanging out with you. Thanks for tuning in, and great job, Deity. Thanks so much for sending me the recorder too as well. And I look forward to seeing everyone soon. Take care.